This is the 9260 Tsunami Katana from Hung Shing True Sharp. This HSTS has many claims about their katanas. I prefer to have a look at this and judge it based on qualities and based on what I know. I've examined a lot of swords over the years, and this is one of the finest ones I've seen, and that's all in perfect honesty. Right down to basics, the shape of the tsuka is wonderful. I really like the narrowing through the middle. A lot of modern production katanas in this price range don't show that. The ito, many people ask me about how the tsukamaki and how it's done, and this is really tight. Very tight, very well done, nice and even. It has decent same underneath. Nothing spectacular about the same. The makugi are put in from opposite sides. They are tapered. All desirable things. The manuki are nice little brass ones. I can't really make out the design of what they are, but they are nice brass. As you can see, when I tear this down, the fittings are all steel, iron. The seppa, very nice, thick, well done seppa and nicely spaced. The saya has this beautiful, it's a black with a metallic finish to it. Very elegant, very nice. High quality sageo, little gold shitodome on there. The one thing I did notice about the sword is that it has been bumped somehow right on the end of the saya, probably during shipping by one of our postal services or courier service. There might not have been enough packaging right at the end of the thing. It's just a slight little blemish on the side of the cap there. It looks like it's been bumped. That's the only flaw really I found in this entire sword. People are asking me all kinds of questions. What's it like? They ask about the ito, and I can tell you it's as tight as anything I've ever had. Any of the Japanese style blades I've ever had, it's as tight as any of them. No problem there. Apparently these are available in a few different colors and styles of the saya and the color of the ito and that kind of thing. This Tsunami. It's they classify it as a heavy cutter, but also they classify it as basically a beater sword. Personally, I don't see it. The fittings and the blade, everything about it is as nice as pretty much any katana I've owned. This blade has been reprofiled. The reprofiling of the blade has come under a lot of discussion, we'll say, on the net. I know that one of my favorite blades, my most stout and favorite blade I own, is my Chinese Kaze, and the reason being is that it has that beautiful niku to it. The niku on this is nicely done. It's not too beefy, but you can very easily tell that it has that nice niku to it. For those not familiar with what niku is, this section of the blade, this flat side of the blade here, on most modern production katanas, especially the lower priced ones, they have a straight down angle like this. And some, like the Hirizakuri design ones, are quite narrow and long. They're great for light cutting, but there's not a lot of meat. They're not as sturdy and durable a sword, in my opinion. Like my Chinese Kaze, I'd never give that sword up because it has beef to it, and it can take a real beating. This sword, I believe, is similar. Now, rather than have that straight edge down to the sword edge of the blade, niku is actually a curve in, a little more meat. This little bit of meat you get with a slight curve down to the edge of the blade, that curve is called niku, that extra meat in there. And this blade has been reprofiled, has that extra meat, making it basically a little bit stouter blade. This thing is ridiculously sharp. It's out of the box, it's the sharpest sword I've ever seen. out of the box like that. I can get a really nice edge on my kaze using a stropping technique, so it'll shave. I have no doubt that this sword would shave right out of the box. It is really, really ridiculously sharp. Be very careful if you pick one of these up. It has a nice deep bohi along the edge of the blade, right down to the kisaki. That lightens the blade up quite a bit. This blade is 2 pounds, 5.6 ounces on my scale. So a little under 2.5 pounds, which is a nice weight. Most katanas range from the 2.5 pounds right up to 3. I've had some swords that are even 3 pounds plus some katanas. This is fairly light, but stout and sturdy. This is a really well-made sword. The fit and finish of it is phenomenal. I'm really, really impressed with this blade. It is through hardened, so you don't get a nice hamon like many people are desiring these days, but this is a utilitarian sword. This sword was made for the backyard cutter and for cutting. I've seen demonstrations of it done with heavy bamboo and wood core filled tatami. I cut some coarse old tatami that I had here that I soaked overnight, and it cut fairly easily through that. I mean, extremely easily through it. I'm rusty, but anyway, there you have it, the 9260 Tsunami Katana from HSTS. Hung Shing True Sharp. It's a hell of a sword for the price, under 300 bucks. Can't beat it.
It's all brand new, and I even neglected to tell you those simple words. So smart, so long, so you heard. I wrote this song just to tell you I fell through. Needless to say, I'm alone now. I've made my point. And when your lives have closed down, I'll stop and stare through your window in your chair. I'm glad I'm not there. I don't care. When the coast is clear here on the 13th floor.
Okay, so I've had an opportunity to cut with this 9260 Tsunami from HSTS. As you can see in the video, it cuts very nicely. That tatami I was using is very old, dry, tough tatami. I only save it for doing heavy cutting demonstrations and stuff. It cut through that very nicely and cleanly. Somebody more experienced and a better cutter and more physically able could probably do a better job of cutting. I'm quite satisfied. I'm a bit rusty cutting. I haven't done a lot of cutting this year. But yeah, it cuts really great. This has already been used to cut some heavy stuff. Like I said, John Walter, he did some videos cutting heavy bamboo and stuff. I didn't want to really beat this sword up. For one thing, it doesn't belong to me. It's going to go to a contest winner soon. Also, I don't have any hard cutting. I didn't want to start cutting tree branches or anything with it because it's not mine, for starters. I even tried a few kind of short stroke cuts, which I don't normally do, but I thought it might more demonstrate how stupid sharp this thing is. I'm quite aware of some shenanigans that went on at another sword forum. I'm not really sure of the details. I don't go on that forum very often, as I have our own forums to manage and keep running. But as far as I know, it was centered around HSTS, who makes this sword, and some of their claims about their reprofiling and stuff. For a heavy cutter, I'm all for this type of reprofiling, where they've given it a little more meat. They've given it the Niku. If you're into really light cutting, like those bottles and jugs, I'm sure that there's some very thinly profiled blades out there that would do a nicer, cleaner job of cutting that. But if you're going to get into heavy multiple mat cutting and cutting bamboo and stuff, and essentially having a good tough sword at a good price that will take a lot of cutting well, this is the kind of blade you want, really. Now HSTS is becoming a new forum sponsor on our forums, and because of those aforementioned shenanigans, they felt obliged to send me, the UBC president, a sample of one of their products for me to examine. But that doesn't mean I'm in any way obliged to sugarcoat anything or to butter up our new sponsor, HSTS. Anything I find bad about this sword, I'm going to tell you right now. As I mentioned earlier, there's a small crack on the cap of the saya, which I believe is probably done in shipping somewhere. Other than that, I can't find any flaws with this sword. I wasn't going to take it down, but I kind of feel obligated to. So I'm going to pop the Mikugi and let's pull this thing apart and see what the Nakago looks like, and just to make sure we're clear that this is as great a sword as it seems to be. Okay, so I've disassembled this Tsunami Katana from HSTS. The Suka looks very good. There's no cracks. You can see the same is inlaid. That's pretty standard fare. Nice thick brass seppa, and Hibachi, as I mentioned earlier. Very nice, attractive Hibachi. The Fuchi and Kashira, as you can see with this little magnet, they are steel, iron. There's the, see that there, and of course the Suba is also cast iron, steel. The Nakago looks fine. There's no markings on it of any kind, but it's well shaped, and the edges here, I forget offhand what the what the edge here is called, but they are very cleanly done. Nice sharp clean lines, nice square edges. Overall looks very good. It was a little tougher getting the Suka off than I would prefer for disassembling a sword, but I mean, I did manage to get it off, and the little persuasion. Other than that, yeah, I'm really happy with what I see here. Okay, final thoughts on the Hung Shing True Sharp 9260 Tsunami Katana. I think, in my opinion, as a sub $300 sword, it's a lot of bang for the buck. The reprofiling of the blade is beautiful. I love everything about it. I could easily see it being a good heavy cutter. It's going to be a strong, durable sword that you're not going to have to worry about having any problems when you're cutting, as far as damaging the blade, a rolled edge, or warping the blade, or really not too much of anything. It looks like it's going to be a really tough sword. Like I said, for the cost, I think it's a good deal. It's actually one of the nicer swords that I've seen and handled, as far as production quality and blade quality, fittings, everything else. And as president of United Backyard Cutters and administrator of our sword forums, I can honestly say that I'm quite proud to welcome HSTS to our sword forums as a sponsor.